Oh man, this is a good tip from Mert. And I'll say a couple different things on this, but the question is, Jor, how can we prepare our minds to stay calm when and if it gets to 8 million, 10 million per coin? Are you mentally prepared? Some tips might be helpful for the community, I believe. I mean, that's a big part of it. When we're thinking about the future here of Bitcoin and what's, coming next for us, it's a big part of it. It's almost more important than the physical setup here. Like the first thing you got to take care of as a Bitcoiner right now, especially if you're holding like a significant amount, I would say if you hold over $10,000 worth of Bitcoin right now, I know it probably doesn't. Oh, to some it'll seem like a lot. To me, it seems like a lot, but for some people, 10K might not be enough to dedicate a whole bunch of time to protect it, and that's fine. But you should still be taking actionable steps to improving your security slowly, learning more, learning about multisig, learning about encryption, and just really immersing yourself in the rehearsal and the process of it, making sure it's solid. You have to be taking this time right now to make sure that your foundation is completely solid, because it's like building a house. You want this house to be here in 50, 100, 150 years. And any house that survives that long has a really solid foundation. And anything with a solid foundation that you're building on top of, you can stack as much as you want on top of that. And so that's what you need to be focused on here is obviously compounding your Bitcoin, earning as much as you can, getting as much as you can, and stacking on top of that foundation that you build, that fortress that you build. So everybody, I would say, if, again, a threshold of about $10,000 worth, you should be thinking about it. If you have more than that, you got $50,000 worth of Bitcoin right now, you should be taking more serious action right now in terms of getting it into a multisig, encrypting your backups, um, things along those lines. Really mapping out all the different threat models that you have and counteracting those. So that's kind of the physical, but you're asking about the mental here. I think the physical has to be kind of done first. But then mentally, I don't really know what the tips would be for it. I think that the best thing you can do is just continue learning about Bitcoin, because that's the one thing that's really helped me get through the run-ups and the drops is just understand what you're holding here. And so the more time and energy you commit to learning about Bitcoin and understanding Bitcoin and why it's so valuable, it's going to be a lot easier when it shoots up. You're not going to be as tempted to sell. And when it crashes down, you're not going to be tempted to sell at all. So again, it's really just immersing yourself in it, taking the time and energy and effort to understand it, build out your foundation, and then just keep stacking on top of that. A couple different. The last thing I would say to that is you should be taking about 5% of your total stack. So if you got $100,000 worth of Bitcoin, you should be investing at least $5,000 into protecting that. That's kind of the minimum for it. So take 5% of your stack and invest that into your security for it. I mean, if you got $1,000, $2,000 worth, it's probably not worth it. I would probably just buy more Bitcoin with that. But at that level, you should be taking about 5% of your Bitcoin stack and investing in your security. And a couple things of that would be, getting some devices, maybe setting up a multi-sig that might be about $1,000. Having somebody like a collaborative custody. We offer something like that. It's about $2,000 for a lifetime membership. So that's $3,000, and then get some, find some other courses to take or join a community, join Living the Future. It's like $60 a year, and your knowledge and conviction is going to grow 10x, 100x from there. So that's the kind of stuff you got to be thinking about. It's not like a one or two things you have to do. You just kind of have to round yourself out, I think, within Bitcoin. So that's what I would say to that. And I think that there's already a couple courses, speaking of Living the Future, $60 a year for that. And you're going to get access to all the private shows, the community there, the course we're going to be doing starting next week. We got a course in there called Bitcoin Generations. And if you want to, spend $200 a year, you can do the 365 days of Bitcoin, which is like a full course on growing your conviction essentially within Bitcoin and learning about security, private key management, UTXO management, everything you need to know. So that's what I would say. That's a really good question and something that we all should be thinking about. If you're watching this video right now, you're going to be in the very, very small percentage of wealth in the future. And you have to be thinking about that and preparing for it. Don't wait for it to happen. It's going to happen, but don't wait for the time to come where you start doing something about it.